Hello and welcome back to the Out of Spec podcast. I'm your host, Francie. Today I am joined by Kyle, the creator of Out of Spec, and Matt Cinto, a proud new owner of perhaps what is the first EV9 in New England. So welcome back. Thank you two for joining us today on the Out of Spec podcast. How's it going?
It's great. Thanks for having me. This is such an honor. Huge super fan. So can't believe I'm in the same virtual room as Kyle Tanner. So
well, no, and what's funny is you're actually friends with my parents, so it all kind of works together.
We have a weird Connecticut musical connection, so that's how it. You can go watch your father's video on his channel, which highlights all that. So,
right. So Dave from Out of Spec, Kyle's dad, linked us up with Matt because, like I said, as far as we know, you're the first person to take delivery of a Kia EV9 in New England, based on the various groups and online forums, and your dealer actually. So, okay, this is pretty exciting. You're the first one, as far as we know. How has it been so far?
So I picked up the car Thursday. Of course, when I got it, it was at 100% state of charge, which was fantastic. So, it was, it's funny. Like I drive a Tesla. I've been driving EVs for 3 years now. And, you end up like educating the dealer on things, I mean, that's just kind of what happens, but, car is fantastic. I mean, I got a million things I like to talk about. Super happy customer. This car kind of just fell into my lap because I pre-ordered one in November. I pre-ordered the Land all-wheel drive trim, which is the one above the Wind version that I got. The real main difference is, I think, is better speaker system. It's a six-seater, so 2 captain's chairs. It's got some of the funky like lights display on the front grille. But other than that, like spec-wise, charging-wise and performance-wise, the cars are basically identical, and it was in like a gray color. It wasn't the exact color I had reserved, but I went to check the car out. My dealer said, we got this retail car in just by chance. It seemed like they were just like handing them out to like select dealers in Massachusetts. Mm-hmm. So I knew I wanted all-wheel drive because the performance difference between that and the rear wheel was, almost double. So I went, checked it out, and I basically signed for it that day. I was able to take my wife's current lease. I've been a Kia customer for several years now. I've had a few Kias. And I ended up leasing this one mainly because of the $7,500 lease cash that you get with it, which you're not going to get if you purchase the vehicle. So, I mean, I think that's an immense savings, kind of like a little EV loophole.
Yeah.
And it's been a great experience so far. Yeah, last several days.
So far, so good. That's a pretty good alternative instead of waiting for your EV for it to be like, hey, we've got one actually ready for you early.
They told me probably wouldn't be until March or April of next year for the specific one I ordered to come in. So that's pretty crazy. So
came in this
year. My wife got an early Christmas gift, so it's great.
So Matt, maybe before we go too far, for some of our audience who doesn't know what the Kia EV9 is, this is a car I have not yet driven. No one at Out of Spec has driven it yet.
Wow.
I've been around one and I filmed a tour, but only very few media have driven it. And they're mostly like the North American Car of the Year jurors or the World Car of the Year jurors, because Kia just likes to get those titles, and I'm not sure how much money they pay for them, but some people will tell me zero, some people will tell me a lot. Either way, it seems like on the surface, the Kia EV9 seems like it should win without even me driving. I mean, it just seems like it's got great charging, great space, great styling, reasonable value. It's not cheap. It's certainly quite expensive of a product, but you get a lot. And, we know that the EGMP platform that it's built on, this is the largest stretched out version that they'll make of this particular platform. We know there's many versions coming. Like you mentioned, there's a rear wheel drive that just seems abnormally and awfully slow, like 9-second or 8-second 0 to 60. I'm not sure what it is. But then when you go all wheel drive, okay, now the thing wakes up over 300 horsepower, plenty to move it. And we know there'll be a GT version coming down the line at some point, which will be cool. Either way, I mean, I think to me, it's one of the cars I'm most excited about in 2024. And a lot of those cars I'm excited about are coming from Hyundai, Kia, and Genesis, because they just seem to be raising the bar on value, understanding the North American market, providing what we want. Although I still think there are some setbacks in general from software and integration and route planning and preconditioning and all the stuff that you know from your Tesla so well that seemingly is missing in these products. But my understanding is the EV9 has newer software. So maybe you can just walk us through roughly your impressions of the car. How did the delivery go? First of all, what was that like? What did the dealer, how did they interact with you? What was that sales process and delivery process like all the way to where you are today?
Yeah, so I had been working with someone I live on Cape Cod, so we have a Kia dealer that I was working with, and they helped me set up like the pre-order, which I put in, a deposit back in, I think it opened in North America like middle of November. So I've been tracking it for a while because I've been following this car since like the concept. Maybe 2020. It was such a wild like concept, and honestly, like they didn't really delineate too far from like at least like the exterior of it. The interior, maybe they, you gotta make some concessions when you're actually like manufacturing the product. But so I just emailed my dealer for, hey, what's going on? Because I've seen some deliveries for people coming in mostly in California, like on the West Coast. They're getting shipments of vehicles, and I emailed him and said, well, it just happens that we have this retail car in. Why don't you come check it out and test drive it? So I said, great. And then I kind of looked back at my spec sheet. It was very similar, spec wise to the one I ordered. So, hey, let's see what it is. And I took that test drive and I just said, if I don't pick this car up today, I think it's going to be gone within the next few days. Cause it's just, it's the only one, like at least in the region that I knew of. And it fit my criteria. So, I love the Kia dealership here on Cape Cod is great. I mean, obviously, like it kind of goes dealer by dealer, like what the experience is. I was working with two salesmen. One has he had an EV6, so he was a little more knowledgeable. Like that was his personal car, so that was good. We can kind of like talk and but yeah, there's some things that a lot of dealers just don't really know. Like if I ask, like, does this have battery preconditioning? Like or like how many volts, is this 800 volt, 400 volt? Like, like those types of questions, they're not really sure of. They'll give you like, well, it charges 10 to 80% in 30 minutes.
Sure. Yeah.
Yeah. But it's like, that's like the, kind of someone who like, I have a Tesla, I kind of, the lingo. And so, but it was great. I was able to move my lease right over. And like I said, like taking the lease cash, like $7,500 off the MSRP is an insane amount of savings.
It really is.
So, it made the deal pretty good for us.
So you leased it for how long then?
So I did 36-month, 10,000 miles a year. It's my wife's primary vehicle. And, my Tesla I use, I put like 35,000 miles a year on.
Yeah, you drive
commuting.
that thing.
I drive like I almost have 100,000 miles on that car. So.
Nice.
So this is not that car.
But question for you. So on the lease cash, that's $7,500. Just as an example, when you lease a Tesla or even, I'm trying to think if BMW does this, but a few brands do this, where when you lease a vehicle and you get the $7,500 tax credit, they put it towards, because it's Kia Financial Services or Hyundai Motor Financial, whoever is packing the lease, they get the $7,500. Some of them put it towards the principal component of the lease so that your monthly payment is dropped significantly. And some of them take it off the MSRP of the car, which means you as the lease owner or lease holder, you only realize, 40% of that $7,500. Do you know how Kia does that?
So yes, of course, it's incredibly convoluted and confusing, but I think the way it works is you actually have two options. When I was talking to the finance guy, he was telling me that you could actually take the cash. Like, I think you can actually, because the way that they wrote it out is it was like I was applying that $7,500 as a down payment. Right. Oh,
so it's off. So it's off of your payments, which is huge. That's a big impact.
So I was able to make like a nice substantial down payment to help bring the cost down, and it definitely helps with like how insane interest rates are and everything right now. So that's essentially the way it works. I think
that's the move. And it's also like if you were to purchase it, you would forego that $7,500.
You wouldn't be able to get, and you can't get tax credit.
Right. It doesn't qualify. Yours was built in South Korea then?
Yeah, I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah. because the American ones won't be built until end of this coming year, I think.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, there's no way. It has to be. It came off of a boat, definitely.
So what makes sense is just lease it. I mean, overall the cost is going to be a little bit higher if you lease it and then buy it out, but the $7,500 kind of makes that a wash. So you could essentially try it out for a few years, and then you can either give it back or buy it out, and you'd still probably be ahead.
And I agree. I mean, I'm not like the biggest fan of leasing in general, but the thing that really sweetened the deal for us was I still had 18 months left on my wife's Sportage lease, and they bought the car out.
No way.
From us.
Even in this market.
So, I mean, I didn't have like any negative equity in that vehicle.
That's
so I was like, sounds good to me. They bought it out, just rolled it in. And if that didn't happen, it would have been a little more difficult, I think, for us to make it happen. But that's a huge bonus. So
they really made that happen.
That plus, I props to my dealer, Cape and Islands Kia. It was great, and it was exciting picking the car up, and then driving it around the last few days. Everyone's like, "What the heck is this car?"
Nice.
You have the first one probably on Cape Cod, or definitely for a short period.
I mean, it might be this way for months. I don't know. And I don't know how many people pre-ordered to my dealer here either.
Were there other EV9s that arrived in the shipment of yours?
So my dealer told me there were 5 other ones that were distributed in the Boston area and maybe South Shore, Cape Cod area. This is the only one at Cape Cod. So,
wow.
I mean, this is a handful. And, like I said, most of the ones look like they're coming in on the West Coast, and maybe now we're starting to get more East Coast deliveries. I see some folks in Florida taking delivery. It's mostly like there is a GT line available now. I mean, I've seen those. I haven't seen very many wind. There's no rear wheel from what I've seen at all.
Interesting. So they're mostly the higher spec ones coming in.
Yeah, they're doing the all-wheel drive first. So this is like the cheapest all-wheel drive is the wind version. Right. But I mean, you still get a ton of great convenience features in the car. So we could talk about that, if you like. But
I would love to know. So, I mean, of course, the lease was the right lifestyle choice for you, but also you've been driving EV, you've been driving Tesla. So why would you switch to the Kia EV9? Why did that fit your lifestyle more compared to other options?
Well, I really wanted a 3-row SUV, and I wanted to be electric. And I guess when that's your criteria, there are not a lot of options. So, I mean, Volvo's coming out with one. More expensive than the one, we have. I know that. The Model X, I don't really think of that like an SUV. I mean, it doesn't really feel like a big, chonker, suburban, this thing is the R1S is an ideal car, but it's $90,000, when I go spec one every week or whatever. That's how much it costs. So this is $30,000 less with the savings I had. So, that was the type of vehicle I was looking for. So that was pretty key. And also, just being knowledgeable with electric vehicles, I know the charging platform on this thing is rock solid. So, I mean, I'll have to fight a little bit with not using a Tesla charger on my road trips, but we don't do a ton of long 800-mile trips that much where I have to stop multiple times. If I'm driving down to Connecticut to see friends of mine, I'll stop one time. It's we'll see what that experience is like.
That'll be totally doable. There's plenty of stations now. And
I'm also hopefully within maybe even this year I'll be able to get my adapter for my car and charge a Tesla. I don't know.
That's right.
I don't know. So that's going to be happening. Obviously this shipped with CCS. It's not NACS connector.
Right.
So I when you weigh all those things, I wanted this size vehicle, and I wanted to be full EV family. No more gas stations. Not doing that. So this kind of made sense. And the EV6, it's basically the same platform pretty much as that vehicle, and the nerdy electric vehicle stuff, just checked all the boxes for me. So that's what kind of did it.
So after you purchased it, how'd the delivery go? Did they have it like a bow on it? What was that like? Because I have no idea what a Kia dealer does to
So
deliver.
I went in, it was Thursday morning. I went in, test drove the car. I told my wife I was going to, I didn't tell her the car was there because I wanted to be a surprise. And I was like pretty certain I was going to be getting this car, and I test drove and I was like, I got to get this car. So I went in, I got all the numbers. We talked over that. My wife and I came home and I called the dealer. I was like, can you have this car ready for me? And he was like, yeah, we can, he was like, we usually do like a whole delivery thing, talk about the car. I'm like, I don't need any of that. I've been studying this thing for months. Like I'm showing you what to do. So I think we're good. So yeah, they gave me like a bow. I brought it in, I parked in the driveway, did the whole like those Lexus commercials. It was great. So we love the car. It's been great.
Sweet.
I mean, so it was pretty seamless. They made it super easy. I mean, you got to go through the whole like paperwork signing thing. It's not like taking, like you're not Tesla's, like you don't have to speak to anyone. You go pick up one of those cars if you don't want to. But I kind of like, I like talking to people. So, but I got the car same day. I literally went in there. I picked it up at like 5 p.m. They cleaned it, whatever else I needed to do. So yeah, pretty seamless.
Great experience, it sounds like. Yeah. And I was looking, and you probably already have your at-home charger, but that Kia does offer like other incentives like that, like a charge point at-home charger. Are you participating in any of that?
So I got two things, which I think I'm missing one item, which they weren't sure what I was talking about, but there was some like, if you pre-ordered, in the month of November, you get like some sort of package. So I did get 1,000 kilowatt hour charging at Electrify America, which I'm able to do through like the Kia Connect app. I already linked all that. And then I think like the actual like 110 volt home little like mobile charger is part of the package, which I got as well. There's no like vehicle to load, like included in that, which it's it's something I can do in my car, that I can't do in my Tesla. But I think
that's interesting that it didn't, because even EV6 I think came with the V2L adapter, but Ioniq 5 didn't.
I don't think I have one of those. Like I looked through the thing and it looked like I just had the home charger.
Well, don't buy one. I think my dad has an extra one. He'll give it to you.
Well, they may owe me one too, so I'm not sure.
Sure.
So I'll figure it out. But I have my Tesla charger. I bought an adapter, Tesla to, J whatever 1772 or it's called.
Right, and for home charging. Then does it work? So have you charged it? Do you have a wall connector at home, a Tesla one?
I do.
Does it charge the EV9?
It does.
Okay, because I have,
which of course I was not sure of until I got the car home.
Yeah,
I was like, here we go. Hope it works.
That's the thing. The Hyundai Kia Genesis cars are the only ones I ever have issues charging on wall connectors. And it might be early software of like all the, most of the pre-production test cars that we get are on like kind of patchy software for our videos and stuff. And sometimes I had a Genesis GV60. I genuinely could not get to charge here. Some of them I have to unplug, replug, shut the car off, recycle it, and then it'll go. But that I'm really interested. I'm glad to hear that that's been working fine. If you see any glitches, I think the trick is to cycle the power of the car, and then it should start to connect.
So when I've only plugged in one time because I just want to make sure it worked. I'm trying to like kill the battery so I can fast charge it. But I plugged it in. And like it waited like a good 8 seconds before it clicked on. So I was like,
it has to fall back. So what the charger's looking for like Tesla CAN communication, and then it falls back to basically pulse width modulation, which is what most cars communicate on for level 2. So you might even see that like on my Rivian, every time I plug in, the charge port goes red, and then it'll go to a fallback, and that's where it can communicate with the charger.
Got it.
Or the EBSE. But yeah, that's interesting. Keep an eye on that as time goes forward to see how that works. I think the official Tesla universal wall connector with the built-in sort of magic dock thing, that one I think works better with non-Tesla vehicles. But pretty interesting. Yeah, I can't wait to hear about your first fast charging experience. Do you have the like OBD app stuff yet for it? You got to get a little dongle.
I don't think so.
Okay, no. I will send you a link. And this is so important to any nerd who owns an EGMP vehicle. You can monitor your battery pack temperatures and everything with like your phone over Bluetooth.
Okay.
And then you can make sure that your battery's at the right temperature before you plug in, because they will only give you full power when you are at the correct temperature of your battery pack. And preconditioning kind of sucks in those cars because they won't precondition below 20%.
And I think if you route, I have to read it again and make sure. I think if you route to like an EA charger, it does precondition the car.
Yes,
I think it does. Like, it's a setting you can turn on or off. I don't know why you'd ever turn that off.
Yeah, I don't know.
You know, but you can. But I have to click like activate preconditioning, and then it will do its thing. And again, like, it doesn't really give you any information for like how long it needs to be, or like. So that's the stuff, like, coming from my Tesla to this, like, that little quirky stuff, is a little annoying.
Yeah, totally.
And
just the fact that it doesn't precondition below 20%. So if you're too far away from the charger, or you're at too low state of charge, which is typically how you would arrive to a charger on a road trip, it will not precondition the battery because it wants to extend your range with better efficiency. But what I care about is like just warm the battery up. I'll show up at 0%. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. Because you can't override that. Like, if you like, it won't even let you do it.
No, there's no way to have it preconditioned below 20% state of charge.
Okay. Well, it's good to keep in mind then.
Yeah. Which is how like everyone road trips. Who's getting to a charger at 20%?
Yeah, exactly. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
That's not exactly lining up. But okay, so you've taken delivery, you had the bow, everything's going pretty well. So what aspects moving inside your EV9 stand out to you most in terms of, the performance, the comfort, the overall driving experience?
Yeah, build quality is like 10 out of 10. I mean, there's no like creaking, no rattling. I mean, it's like none of the things my Model S will do from time to time, The interior quality is really nice. There's no piano black anywhere. Huge plus for me personally, because I just like Kara's, my wife's old Sportage was like piano black. Everything's like, piano black. But there's none in that, So it's nice. I'm not sure what exactly. It must be some vegan leather material that like a lot of the console is kind of wrapped in. The seats are in my trim are AC seats, heated steering wheel, which is nice. The car sits up pretty high. It's so super comfortable inside. A lot of room. Like, there's a lot of space, like, especially above my head. I mean, I'm only like 5'8", but I mean, there's a tremendous amount of space. I have there's two what are they called? Sunroof. Yeah, there's a sunroof which you can open on the driver and passenger side. Then there's one above like the second row seating, which has like an automatic shade that you can like play with, which is cool.
Very cool. So
that comes in my trim level. But yeah, build quality has been great, and the ride, I would say, is actually pretty sporty. It's, I mean, I wouldn't say it's like a really firm suspension, but it takes corners really well. Like, the steering is, when you're like at like, a clip, like, it's pretty sporty handling, which I like. And I've been, playing around with it. I pretty much only drive in sport mode because I think that's like the only way to fully appreciate the vehicle. But yeah, it's great. And turning radius was actually really surprising how good it was.
Interesting.
Like, it's a big, and I'm not sure like what dynamics control that sort of thing, but technically, but I'm like doing stuff in the parking. I'm like, wow, I thought for sure I'd hit that car. You know what I mean? Like, you're like, so it's impressive. And it's pretty, I would say like firm steering. Like, it's not like, you have to do like multiple turns to like move the thing. But it's really fun to drive. I mean, in a line, you don't even realize this thing weighs like 6,000 pounds.
Right. It's not unheavy. Like, it's a heavy beast for sure.
But I mean, you put your foot on it. I mean, it goes. So, I mean, you feel it like in corners for sure. I mean, but in a line, and be curious if you got like 7 people in it, like what that's like.
Sure. I just imagine 7 people in the rear wheel drive. That must be really slow.
Well, I think I don't know what the horsepower is, but like it's like +7 seconds, 0 to 60. Maybe it's like 200 something horsepower. This one's almost 400, I think. And then you can actually purchase for $900 a performance upgrade.
Really,
So
I've
it's
never
software.
heard of this.
It's software. I just checked it out. I mean, I'm not going to purchase it, but if you really wanted to do that, like send your family like flying, I guess you can do that.
That's awesome. Actually, that's kind of cool.
So I think it brings the 0 to 60 to like sub 5 seconds.
Okay, nice.
Okay. So I think right now maybe it's like a 5.2 or something like that. I mean, for that size vehicle, it's plenty fast. I mean, so it feels pretty planted on the road, super comfortable. I would say it's a very quiet interior. It's definitely quieter than my Model S. And I have a 2017 Model S, and it doesn't have like all of like the maybe acoustical changes that like a new one would have, but it's substantially quieter. And I think as you go up the trim level, they add more acoustic features to the vehicle. I don't know if that's like in the door or with the glass or whatever.
Yeah, that's common.
But the ride's great. The only thing that kind of annoys me with the cars, and I don't know if you can turn this off, but like under 30 miles an hour, it makes this like humming sound. Like,
yes, the pedestrian warning sound. Yeah.
Even in drive, like not just in reverse.
Yep.
So it's like it's humming along like when I pull out my driveway, and then I think above like 30 miles an hour. So I was like, for me, again, this is like a Tesla thing. Where it's like I don't want sound. Like, watch out. You know what I mean? Like,
so your wife has she driven it then?
Yeah.
What's her impression? Because obviously she's going from a combustion and smaller SUV to electric. Did she have any concerns? Obviously, it sounds like you guys are just going to charge at home most of the time. Are you going to charge to 100% every day? Do you have a charge limit set? What's your plan?
So I set it to 90. I mean, you can set it, I think, like 70, 80, 90, 100 or something on there.
Yeah, you can go down to 40 maybe.
Okay. And then you can also limit how fast, like you can set it to like 5 kilowatt, 7 kilowatt, or 9 kilowatt. So it'll take 9 because I have like the 48 amp charger.
Right.
So I always like to, I mean, even with my Tesla, I never charge it like full.
Sure. Yeah.
If I can afford it, I'll put the thing down to like 15 amps and just like sit on that, all day. But I mean, I haven't even plugged it in yet. We've had it since Thursday. I've been driving all over the place. I still have like 30% battery. So it's like, wow. I think we've dispelled that whole notion that like, again, it was at 100% when I picked it up. But again, like it's got 280 miles, rated, whatever that means.
Right.
So it's working. And, when it's low, just my wife can plug it in there. And I'm usually at work most of the day. So we'll work out some sort of schedule. I just require the charger from the hours of like 9 p.m. to 6 a.m. That's
right for your Tesla.
That's just going to be the rule in order for me to go anywhere. But we're comfortable. Like my wife's driven my Tesla. Like she kind of knows like what the experience is like, especially with like regen braking and those sorts of things. But I mean, it's way more comfortable than the Sportage that we had before. So we love it. So
good. I'm glad to hear it's all working out for you. And that's one of those cars that I've been trying to drive for so long. And we did Kia's doing like a little event like a month from now where we're able to drive it. But honestly, I might just fly out and do your car.
You come out. I can't ship it to you. Okay, I'm not going to do that whole thing.
Fine.
But you got to come to me.
I'll come out.
I'm serious. Open invitation. Yeah, we'll have a good time. Come out here.
Yeah, I just think I could probably get it done sooner than the Kia thing. And it's like, it's so confusing because certain like YouTubers and certain media have gotten the car and then they're like, obviously all talking about it. And because we're not on like World Car of the Year jury, we don't get, I'm like, what? Like everyone on our audience wants to know the nerd stuff on this car. I also genuinely have no idea how it's going to charge because I think it's rated for like 10 or 20 kilowatts less peak than the smaller battery EV6.
Okay.
I think it's rated at 220 or 230. I don't remember.
I think 220. I found some charging curve chart online, which I don't know how reliable that is because I don't know how much information people really have about it. So
yeah,
I'm going to get this thing down to like 10% and then go throw it on. We have a 350 EA station like in Hyannis here. So I'm going to see what it's like. From what I've seen, like, I mean, it's supposed to hold 200 up to like 70% from like what I was looking at. You know, it's like, or maybe like, you know, a little bit below that, and then it falls off like a cliff.
But it's going to smoke your Tesla's charging. It's just going to be awesome.
I mean, I get like peak 125 on my car. I have a 75D.
Oh, it's a 75. Okay.
It's a 75D. So, and like I think they've even like uncorked it a little bit. So like occasionally I'll see like 140. I'm like, whoa, what's going on? For about 10 seconds. You know? But you know, over 50%, I'm charging like like maybe 80 kilowatt. You know, like it's wow. You know, it's slow. So this thing should, you know, like I said, granted, I could find a charger to fast charge on, you know, but this, you know, 95% of the time we're going to be charging the car at home. So, you know, that's not a huge concern for me.
But not a ton of public infrastructure out there where you are.
I've seen some, like there's some, we have some new charge point stations that like just propped up in some places. I'm like, oh, okay. I would never go check those out in my Tesla before, but you know, I'll see what's going on. We've just got EA stations, which took like 3 years. They were sitting like at the Cape Cod Mall since like 2020, just with the bags over them, waiting for the company to hook them up or get the transformer. And like the unveiling was, I think, this past spring. Finally, they opened, and of course, they were all down within the first week because I would drive by and just like, you know, just be like, what's going on with these things, and like, you know, not working. So
good luck with the Kia then.
They seem to be good, but
yeah. Okay, well, yeah, good luck with that. And you've got that free charging too. So sounds like you're pretty pleased with this, which is really great. And you're excited. It seems like you would recommend this to other people who are looking for that, you know, big SUV EV, which is the Kia EV9. Like Kyle said, it's fitting into the market where there's definitely a gap there. So yeah, thank you, Matt, for coming on to the podcast and telling us all about your exciting new EV, and good luck with the fast charging, with getting to know it and everything.
Great. Thanks for having me, Bo. It's awesome.
Thanks, Matt. Good to see you. And definitely probably we'll make a video with you, an update video next time I'm in the area with your EV9.
Sounds great. I'd love to do it.
Yeah, he's happy to come steal it from you.
Yeah. See you later. See you in 8 hours, right?
Exactly. And thank you everyone for tuning into the Out of Spec podcast. We will catch you next time.